Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick, here with you as always, and thanks for joining us for episode number 71. Now I know it's been a couple weeks since I posted a video, but nonetheless, I'm back after a hectic few weeks, and as promised, we have an expression from Compass Box Whisky. So today we've got for you the Peat Monster, and I'll work on getting that out of the tin here as we talk about it. So Compass Box, of course, is notorious for blending various whiskies from all around Scotland and making some really unique and interesting blends and innovating using different cask types and really becoming, there's nobody better at blending whiskey, in my opinion, especially Scotch whiskey. And they've really blended Scotch whiskey in particular to a whole nother level that has far surpassed some single malt scotches and really have changed the views of a lot of people who thought, blended Scotch, it's cheaper, it's not as good quality, that sort of thing. Now is becoming like, people are starting to notice it, and blended whiskey is really taking off. You see a lot of other companies exploring, like Dewar's and Johnny Walker, with different innovations in terms of cask type, maturations, finishes, that sort of thing, where they source the barrels, what was previously in those barrels, all that fun stuff. So, let's get into the Peat Monster. Obviously, it's got a high proportion of peated malts from the Islay region, and I've got a little breakdown here of what's in it. But first, let's talk about what we've got with the bottle here. So obviously you get a nice little tin, or cardboard box rather, but very informative. It tells you a little bit about the company itself if you don't know about them already. But the two favorite sayings here that are music to my ears are the natural color and non-chill filter. Now, I don't just notice that by looking at the color when I put it in the glass and sort of guess and say, that doesn't have any caramel added, or it hasn't been, chill filtered at all. Nope, it's right on the front of the box, right there. And bottled at 46% ABV, which is nice. I like to get away from the old 40%, as low as you can go, the method of making whiskey. So you get a little bit, and as you pour it into the glass, you can just look at the color. It's absolutely amazing. Pale, really pale hue in there. Almost not clear, but it's got a really, almost like a light melon, watermelon, if you will, not obviously the pinkish red part, but once you get down towards the rind, you get a little hint, little glow there of copper tones to that, which is really cool. So, now, obviously if you've been following along for the past few months, years, you'll notice that the Compass Box Whisky Company has come under a lot of scrutiny from the Scotch Whisky Association and has created a lot of buzz throughout the entire whiskey community. Bloggers and experts and enthusiasts are all talking about it. And they've come under scrutiny because they were giving away so much information about what is in the whiskey. So if you have a whiskey that has various different ages in it, you're only supposed to say what's the minimum age in there. So if there were, say, a 3, and I'm not saying what the ages are in here, but let's say it's a 3, 5, 10 to 15, right? Just to keep it easy. You couldn't go and say that this was a 15-year-old whiskey. You would have to say that it's a 5-year-old whiskey. Well, that's great. You know that the youngest age in there is 5 years old, but that doesn't tell you what other possible ages are in there too. And it goes for the same of other whiskeys too, that just because there's an age statement on it doesn't mean that all of that whiskey that's in there is that specific age. Take Green Spot, for instance. Irish whiskey could be 7 years, could be 8 years, could be 9 years. Who knows? because they don't tell you exactly which proportions are in there. So, Compass Box Whisky got into trouble because they were giving all of that information out. And the Scotch Whisky Association didn't like that. So not only were they giving out ages, but they were giving out where it was coming from, what proportion it was. Obviously, for us drinkers, that is absolutely what we want. I mean, just take this for instance. We've got the natural color on there, non-chill filtered, 46% ABV. If you're creating a whiskey and you sort of had unlimited resources, Compass Box Whiskeys, one of those would probably be something you came up with. It's got everything we want as whiskey enthusiasts, whiskey drinkers, literally everything. And it tells you what's in there. I mean, I don't know what else to say, it just doesn't get any better than that. So, anyway, they come through with a transparency campaign and have sort of been fighting that battle for a while, and I think they're backing off a little bit now. Let the dust settle, so to speak. But I do have, if you go online, you can get a fact sheet for each of the Compass Box expressions that you give out, that you buy. So I'm going to go through the different whiskeys and where they're sourced from on here, but I'm not going to say the age of what is in here. Can you find that information out? Yes, you can, but I'll leave it up to you on how to find that out. It's not that hard, I'll just say that. But you can't go promoting that Compass Box that, is promoting the ages or anything like that, because they're not. They're not saying what it is as per Scotch Whisky Association regulations, and they are following that. So, there's that little disclaimer. So, anyway, let's talk about what's in it. Obviously, peated whiskey. So, we'll take about 5 seconds and you can guess where the main chunk of the whiskey is from. Hear that right? Yes, Lefroy. So, the first parcel in this whiskey making up this blend is from Lefroy. It's malt whiskey from Lefroy, and it was aged in refill hogshead, and that, if I already said that, I don't know, takes up 40% of that. Next, we have malt whiskey from Islay, and that's also in refill hogshead, 20%. Going down the line, another refill hogshead from Kalila, and that's 13%. And the next, also refill hogshead, is from Ardmore, and that's 26%. And then last, we have a really unique French oak Burgundy toasted cask. Only makes up 1% of the whiskey in there. It's a Highland malt, and that's a marriage of malt produced at the Clanglish. I can't even say most of these, so I'm not even going to try, but I'll put it up on the screen instead of looking stupid. And then it's given a second maturation for a minimum of 2 years in active new French oak hybrid barrels. So certainly there'll be some variation with those vattings and that sort of thing. But there you go. So again, we know about the whiskey. We know what hasn't been done to the whiskey in terms of adding caramel and chill filtering. Look at the color. It's absolutely brilliant. We don't even have to frost the bottle or make it green or anything like that. Just look at it, look at the store, and it just sits there like that. People say, oh, what is wrong with that thing? Right? You ever see somebody go to the store and they're looking at buying scotch and they say, oh, that doesn't look right. Why is that so clear? That's supposed to be nice ruby red. It's got to have a nice little hint of orange or amber or anything like that. I haven't heard anybody say that. But there's just this assumption that people look at whiskey and need it to look certain colors, something like that. I don't know. I've never seen it before, so I don't know where they get that from. I think we've evolved from that. So anyway, let's go in for the nose. Just really beautiful. Obviously, the peatiness comes out of there. Real salty, in the brine. It's got a real sulfury sweetness to it, a little lemony, a little honey. Definitely a little bit of tropical fruit note in there, which is interesting. Definitely a real rich, fruity, vibrant note to it. Very, very much like grapefruit in there. So let's go in for the taste. Wow. If they packed any more flavor in this, they would need to include additional bottle with it. Because that is brilliant. And first of all, what hits you is this, it's a powerful peaty punch to it. But it's not like a negative peat punch, if you will. In the sense that it's not like a Band-Aid that a lot of people say, you know, that smell that you get, the iodine smell to it in taste, the really leathery, medicinal sort of note. But it's a real strong, salt of the earth, just fruitiness, that sweet fruit that I was getting in there, that grapefruit is definitely coming through in a perfect little wrapped up package with the peat. It's just really, really deep. It was really interesting. I feel like this is a whiskey that will evolve so much in due time. And with a little bit of water, which is what I'm going to do now. Just add a little bit in there. Not too much, because I don't want to go crazy, but just open it up a little bit. And again, this little dropper is, you don't need it, you just need a teaspoon or something like that. It's not trying to be bougie or anything like that. I just like it because, you know, supporting the handcraft glass makers, and you can really get drop by drop by drop. So it's purely function and, yeah, purely function at that point. So, like I've said in the past, doing a review like this, I probably could stop it, but it just takes too much effort to wait and then come back and taste it again. But if you have the chance, just give it a little bit of time. You know, water will help, but so will, you know, 10-15 minutes. Just let it sit there, open up, and see what happens. Even in just a few drops of water, the peatiness sort of subsides from this really strong, powerful, punchy, fruity peatiness to it. This real depth, this real almost being next to the ocean during a storm, getting all the sea salt and the ocean spray. And it's really toned down to really very much a clean smokiness to it. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just very light. It's like if you've had a candle or something like this going for a while, and you go to blow it out, and after a while you get the little reminiscence of smoke in there. That's what I'm getting now, with a little bit of water added. What's interesting about getting this fact sheet and knowing that it came from, or that we had even the smallest, 1% in this really, really active French oak with the burgundy toast on there. I had, and I think I did a review on it of French whiskey, and it's just, I'm blanking on the name, or Bastille French whiskey, not their single malt, but a lot of the notes that came from that I'm tasting in this, And it's really interesting that even though at 1%, it's definitely coming through. Now, it could be a mixture of the other whiskeys that are in there too, but, you know. And I know they use French Limousin oak for the Bastille, and I don't know exactly where came from that 1% that's in there, but definitely French oak, and it really just adds this nice tropical, almost Caribbean fruit notes to it. And though it is the Peat Monster, you know, the peat in it is not overpowering. It's not the the Lafroig that scares a lot of people away because of its overly medicinal and overly briny Band-Aid sort of iodine characteristics to it. It's not that at all. It's a different sort of peat. It's as if you were just shoveled up a block of peat yourself. We're starting a fire. Next up, I've got a little square of peat that I might burn after that. So this just feels like a really great whiskey to have at night while you're sitting by the fire. I obviously don't have a fire here. There'd be some problems if I did. But yeah, let's go in for one last pass and then we'll call it quits. Now, being so impressed by the fruitiness that I get out of here, and the peatiness, obviously, I didn't say a lot about the malty characteristic, which is in there, but it's definitely in there. It's in the middle of this whole journey. So you go in a little less so, right, with adding water to it, but before, on the first pass, you get the nice peat, the really deep, full-bodied peat notes to it and flavors. And then what you get is this nice, creamy maltiness, like the bakery at 5 a.m. And, everything's fresh, just the aromas coming off of that. And then you transition to a finish, which is really sweet. It doesn't stay overly long, okay? It's not an incredibly long finish, but you definitely get a lot of the notes from the previous tasting. So, we should probably do a score before people start picking. So for episode number 71, Compass Box Peat Monster, we give it a 93 out of 100. So, join us next time. Our next episode, we're going to be debuting a new glass that a fellow viewer of this channel has created, and we're going to go over that. Might incorporate some other glassware, that sort of thing, if you're interested. Check us out then. If you're going to drink responsibly, as always, and have a great week.